Hey, it's Dave and Evelyn from the camera store.
And today we're taking a look at the Nikkor 28-400 f4 to f8 super zoom lens from Nikon. All right, Dave, 28-400 is a super versatile focal range. This is crazy. This lens could replace every lens that you could pretty much need, and it's not too bad. It's f4 to f.8 in terms of the speed.
In the past, lenses that were designed to have this huge zoom range that made them incredibly versatile came at a bit of a cost, not just in aperture, but in image quality. Now, there has been a lot of technological advances, especially with the mirrorless system and the Nikon Z mount. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this lens can produce.
Well, Dave is playing Cinderella over there with the birdies. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the build quality and feel of this lens. So first of all, I have to say this is incredibly compact. It's actually smaller than I was expecting. It's 725 grams with a 77mm filter thread diameter. And when you have it on a Nikon Z8, it feels absolutely perfectly balanced. I think having this lens in your bag as like your go-to everything lens would be an absolutely awesome option, just given the whole size and compactness of it. Even when you fully extend this lens, it is about double the length, but it still has a nice balanced feel to it. And with that vibration reduction that's built into the lens, it gives you that extra bit of stability. I also like that we have this lock feature on the side of the lens. So when it's in your bag, it's not going to accidentally extend on you. Now, it is a pretty bare bone lens in terms of the actual features of it. And at first I didn't think it had any control, but the focusing ring can also be programmed to be other things like your ISO or your aperture. So it doesn't give you that tactile feedback that you'd have on a lot of aperture rings, but it is nice to know that you can program that control ring. Dave is going to get a little bit more into the image quality and internals of this lens, but for now I just have to say that this is just super compact. It is something that you could put in your bag, travel around with you, and it's incredibly versatile.
Now, this lens is a 14 times zoom range. That means there's a lot going on inside this lens to make that happen optically. There's actually 21 different elements in 15 different groups, and 4 of those elements are ED elements for extra dispersion, which gives us a little better image quality. Now, we do have a 9-bladed aperture, and I'm actually really pleasantly surprised with the image quality I'm getting out of this on both ends of the spectrum, both at 28 and at 400. Now, as cameras get more and more advanced, we're seeing a lot of correction done in camera as well. So even if the lens itself isn't as optically perfect through the entire range, the camera makes up for a lot of that distortion and corrects for it, giving you better image quality through the entire range. Now, in using this lens and looking at the results, I'm really happy with what I'm getting. Both at the 28mm, I'm getting really nice wide angle with really well corrected lines. And it's very sharp edge to edge. I wasn't expecting that from this lens, but they've obviously put a lot of time and effort into making this work with the mirrorless system. And when I go on the other end, when I'm finding some animals and some birds, take a look at this shot here of this bird. You can see the gleam in its eye. It's very sharp and really practical that way. And I love the fact that a lens like this, I can walk around and shoot both wide angle scenery and zoom in on a bird if I want to, if I come across some wildlife. Now, it does have a 9-bladed aperture, but we're an f4 to f8, so we're not getting the same kind of bokeh you're going to get with a very fast prime lens, but depending on how you manipulate your environment, you certainly can get some really pleasing bokeh out of this lens. So what I'm finding with this lens is that I'm getting very good quality results for a lens I didn't have as high expectations for. I'm very happy with the image quality I'm getting, and I can totally see myself taking this lens out on a vacation, one body, one lens solution, and I'm getting the image quality that's going to satisfy me.
When it comes to the performance of this lens, I was pretty impressed when I first put it on the Nikon Z8. I put it in the bird mode, and Dave happened to get a bird land on his hand. It's what he does. I was able to lock focus really quickly, and it did it very quietly, seemed very fast. I was impressed with that performance overall. This is taking advantage of a stepping motor system for the autofocus performance, and it is definitely optimized for using with the newer mirrorless cameras. And if you are manually focusing for video, it has smooth transitions because it's using a focus by wire or linear focus assist. So it's working quite well for both photo and video. So if you're switching between doing like content creation or your photography, I have no worries about using the full range and being able to get good performance. Also, for video, we do notice some focus breathing for sure, something that's kind of hard to avoid with a focal range that's like this. It's pretty minimal, but again, it's something to be aware of if you are shooting video. Well, Dave, before we went out here, you were a little skeptical about this focal length. What do you think now that you've had a chance to use it?
Well, I am skeptical of focal lengths when you have a 14 times zoom. I mean, there's always been sacrifices in the past with lenses like this. They're either sharp on one end, but not the other, or right in the middle, they're flawed with bad pin cushioning, barrel distortion, all kinds of optical flaws. But Nikon's done a fantastic job on this lens. I mean, it is brilliant in its application. I mean, it's incredibly versatile, of course, but the fact that the optical design of this lens, teamed up with the profiles built into Nikon bodies, give you really good image quality and good performance all the way through.
Yeah, and I think this is one thing that's a little bit understated with mirrorless cameras, is just that the mount has opened up so many different possibilities for how lenses can be designed. And we're seeing the fruition of that. And Nikon has really fleshed out their lineup with a lot of great lenses. It's awesome to see such an awesome super zoom lens that you could bring traveling and you could feel confident with it. You know, it's a weather sealed lens. It has a lot of really great features, and it is purely designed for mirrorless cameras and works great with the Nikon Z8.
I mean, that's really it. I mean, this is that one body, one lens that you're going to go out with and travel with and not worry so much about, okay, do I need a 1.4 lens? Am I going to carry a big 400 2.8 if I have the luxury of doing that? I've got one lens that's going to really be a lot of fun to work with and capture everything I need.
Yeah, I could totally see this being like an uncle lens or an aunt lens that you just like bring around with you everywhere. You're like always just shooting like all the family functions. You go traveling, oh, there's a bird over there. Oh, you know, whatever you see, you can get pretty
Like the
much
dad
everything.
lens? Like a dad lens is what you're going for there?
I mean, I didn't want to say dad lens, but yeah, that too. But of course, we want to know, what are your thoughts on the 28-400mm lens? What are you seeing online? Is it something that you're interested? Let us know in the comments below.
And does a 400 f8 concern you whatsoever? Make sure you follow us both on Instagram.
It's been Dave and Evelyn from the camera store. Hit the subscribe button and we'll catch you again very soon.
Hey, if you liked what you saw and you want to check out more of our recent content, click up here. And if you're Canadian, you want to shop local, check out thecamerastore.com down here.